Welcome back, Officers of the Republic. Is your Coruscant Underworld Police Chief AP Gaines of the 69th Precinct. We have a very special guest. He's been blowing up all over YouTube, and he is by far my most requested person to have on the show. We have Darth Loquitur. I get more requests for him than Arnold. It's ridiculous. How are you doing, man?
Great. I'm doing great.
Very
Thanks for
happy
having
to
me
have
on.
you.
Appreciate it.
I'm sure you guys have already seen the title of the video, but we're going to talk about 10 teams that you should be undersizing in your Grand Arena. Now, the reason we undersize for maybe people who are new to the game, you get more banners the less characters you use. If you get more banners, you win the Grand Arena, and we love winning Grand Arena over here. So we're going to talk about teams that you should always undersize, if at all possible. Now, this is going to be geared towards both early and mid-game players, so if there's a team in here that you can't use, there's going to be a team in here that you can use, so make sure to stay till the end and pick up all of this fantastic information. So right off the bat, I have two teams back-to-back. I have a Bastila Shan-led team with a Grandmaster Yoda, and I have a Jedi Knight Revan team with a Jolie Bindo. Now, the thinking behind this is if you're an early game player, you're not going to have your Jedi Knight Revan. So your Bastila Shan lead team is going to have that plus 200% protection up, which is going to be fantastic. It happens at the beginning of the battle. You're going to use this team against a weaker squad, maybe on the back wall, or maybe use more characters. You can go 3-man, 4-man on a slightly stronger squad. The thinking behind this is that you can kill the enemy team on defense before they break through your protection up, which guarantees you have all full health banners and full protection banners. So if you're using 4 people, you're getting your 61. You get your 62 at 3, your 63 at 2, and you're swimming in banners at that point. As you progress towards the more middle game, this team is not super viable because the defensive teams are going to start doing more and more damage. So that way we switch to a Jedi Knight Revan team with a Jolie Bindo, maybe a Yoda. If we've scrapped the Bastila Shan team, maybe we throw Bastila Shan in there. Mix and max which Jedi you're going to use. The thinking behind this is with the extra protection and health recovery after assisting with Jedi Knight Revan's lead, we can start to get those banners back. We can use this team for longer and longer battles, maybe against a General Grievous, maybe against a powerful team that we might not be able to battle against. But because they recover so many banners and Jolie can revive, we have that potential to recoup back up to max banners and, getting those 64s, getting those 63s, 62s, all that good stuff. And, it's just fantastic to have all of those max banners, especially if you place a nice little nasty defense. So I covered the first two. Now, the third one, if you're looking at my screen, is going to look a little bit strange to you, but Darth Loquitur is going to explain, and he was explaining this to me earlier. It's actually genius, and I'm kind of jealous I didn't think of it. For all you guys watching, I have the tie right here. He is subbed in for the red First Order Stormtrooper, or the one people call Larry, if you're watching Arnold's video. Take it away, Darth Loquitur. Explain, blow their minds. Let them know why they're mad that they didn't think of this first.
Yeah, so everybody would say Vader solo, just get your Vader up to gear 12 or relic Vader, and then he can solo some teams. But for some early game players, relics are maybe out of reach, or maybe Vader's not the first character that you want to relic, but it's a character that you do want to build. So I made this nice little team on the Loquitur account with Darth Vader, Kylo Ren unmasked, and the Sith Trooper. Now, the Sith Trooper assists whenever somebody gets a critical hit. So on this team, when Vader does Merciless Massacre, he goes around tapping people for critical hits, and then the Sith Trooper joins in and does an assist. And even against some pretty tough teams, Kylo Ren unmasked has a stun, he has a taunt. Once he's taunting, he has counterattack. So if they start attacking back into your Kylo Ren unmasked, he gets the counterattack, and Sith Trooper gets an attack and assist off of that. So basically, the Sith Trooper carries the team. If you don't want to relic your Vader, or if your Vader's just going to be gear 12 and you still want to take out some pretty strong teams. Say, for instance, they have a Geo team with one relic Geo like the Brood Alpha. You can still do great work and get so many assists against that team that you'll take them out.
Yeah, and like I said before he started explaining this, it makes so much sense. It just makes so much sense. It utilizes characters that don't necessarily need to be the strongest and can punch up. And you guys know that ever since we first got CLS on the channel, so many months ago, we're all about teams that can punch up just a little bit so that we can be efficient on our Grand Arena. So thank you for enlightening all of us. I'm sorry this is going to be stolen. You're going to have to deal with this in your Grand Arena. You kind of done yourself in, but you know what? We're going to keep moving on, man. All right, in at number 4, I've been getting a lot of flack recently for my love of the Mandalorian faction. People are saying, AP, they're not going to be fantastic. Hear me out. I have Gar Saxon in for Bo-Katan right here. Similar to how I explained the Bastila Shan team at the very beginning, Armor has basically carbon copy in terms of the leadership. You get that plus 200% protection. And this is for you early Division 11, Division 10, maybe even into Division 9 players who are really just looking for more teams to use efficiently on offense. At that point, you're not going to have a ton of teams. Maybe you got to play some on defense. Maybe your opponent took out one of your teams and you need to throw in another team. This team has that viability for having that protection up like Bastila Shan does, but once Bo-Katan's added into the game, it's going to have that Jedi Knight Revan effect. They're eerily similar. Armor to Bastila Shan, Bo-Katan to Jedi Knight Revan, you're going to get that recovery on assists. So as you progress into that middle game area, you're going to start to throw Bo-Katan lead with all those assists, get all the protection up. But for you really early game players who maybe just need another squad, or you realize that there's an opportunity for you to get full banners against one of your opponent's weaker teams, this Armor team with Sabine and Bo-Katan, or maybe you can throw in another Mando in there if you're not confident with a 3-man. It's got the potential to get you max banners, and I think you guys are going to really start to love this team as Bo-Katan comes into the game.
And getting protection back is how you get banners.
It is, man. And speaking of getting protection back, we have a team that we actually had a nice little conversation about while we were constructing this list. I went in saying Bosk lead, obviously with the Zeta, more a mid-game player because you need that Zeta. You get that health and recovery protection on the debuffs. I said Bosk lead with Boba Fett, Jango, 3-man, fantastic. Darth Loquitur, explain why Queel should be put in that team in the early to mid-game stages and why, again, you're just so much smarter than everyone else. Take it away.
Oh, come on, man. So this is it's a theory crafting idea I have. I haven't actually built the team yet. I'm working on it. But Queel gives 40% of his health, protection, offense, and potency, I believe, to scoundrels. And bounty hunters are all scoundrels. So Queel comes off of the same note as the TIE Bomber, which for anyone who doesn't know, it is a fantastic ship. It's a requirement for Sith Eternal Emperor. So that becomes a premium node that people are probably going to farm anyway. So if you farm up the TIE Bomber, you get a free Queel while you're doing it. And so I was thinking, well, what can I do with this Queel? I got to looking and I said, well, if you leave some scoundrels, even at a mediocre level, and you get that Queel, especially get that Queel to a relic level, by the time he starts sharing out 40% stats, all of a sudden now it's like you got 4 relic characters. If you want to put that on defense, you can throw another bounty hunter in there. And if you could get Grief Karga in there, for example, as the 5th, that is going to be a ridiculous team on defense. Again, because all those stats from Queel get shared across. Queel has protection recovery mechanics. Bosk in the leadership role already has that going on for him. So that's a way to, if you don't have a very good 3-man team, if you really want to build that Queel anyway, you can put him in there as the 4th and really supercharge that team's stats. And he's fast. And if you make him fast, then he can go first and give everybody else 25% turn meter. And talk about punching up. That team is going to punch way up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
On this channel, we love teams that we can keep at low gear and punch up. And another unbelievable thing that I can't believe I thought of, hopefully go check out his channel as he progresses, the account he does videos with. Once he gets this implemented, you guys are not going to want to miss that. It's going to be fantastic. I'm going to be tuning in. I know that for sure because I'm in your corner, man. I love theory crafts. This is up there. I'm very excited to see how that team works out. So next, a theory craft, not necessarily theory craft. I've been running this team for over a year at this point, and people always ask me why I run this 3-man. It's Emperor Palpatine lead with Bastila Shan Fallen. Ignore the fact that she's relicked. Yes, my account is slightly higher than early and mid-game players. She's not going to be relicked for you. And Thrawn, who is, for 3 million GP, having Thrawn at gear 7 is questionable at best, but let me explain. For you early and mid-game players, oftentimes you have a lack of teams, or maybe you have 3v3 going on and you don't really know how stuff works. Emperor Palpatine, obviously we know he's got stuns, he's got shock synergy with Bastila Shan Fallen. That's really good. If you can get, I always tell people you should have at least 90% potency on your Emperor Palpatine simply because those stuns are fantastic for you early to mid-game players who your opponents, let's be honest, are not going to have the most well-modded characters. Emperor Palpatine's stun and shocks are fantastic. Basilishan, of course, has fear, plus once she hits that shocks, it becomes an AoE. And before I had Darth Revan, when I was an early to mid-game player with the account I use for YouTube, I was really curious what I'm going to do with this Basilishan Fallen until I have that Darth Revan team. And she just pairs so well with Emperor Palpatine lead that I thought, you know what, there's no better home for her when she has no one else to go with. And then I said, well, 2-man, they don't work so well. Let's throw in a third character. I chose Thrawn because as a personal grievance against the Phoenix team, I never really took my Thrawn too seriously. At 3 million GP for the account I use, he's only at 15,000 GP, so not necessarily a character who's going to be used in a top-tier team. But his Fracture is the most universally used extra plug-and-play character, and I was just thinking, who's a third character who you don't need to invest a lot of gear in, but his kit still works really well? I threw him in on this team because we have stuns from EP, we have basically stuns from Fear, and we have long-term stuns in terms of Fracture from Thrawn. You're going to stop the other team in the tracks. If they're weak enough, they're never, ever taking a turn, and you know what happens when they don't take a turn? You get full banners. That's why I have this team in at a sneaky little undersize for you early to mid-game players.
And you do need good speed mods for that team. So just fair to say, you know, farm your mods, make sure you get some good speed mods, because that team really needs to go first to trigger. But like you mentioned, there's a lot of teams you're going to fight at the early game where they don't have very good mods anyway. So you'll find a team that you're faster and be able to use it.
Absolutely. So make sure, especially if you guys are really new to the game, it's important to check the speeds of your opponent's characters, because you can check the stats of them. So if you're kind of on the fence, is this team going to work, is it not, you can literally go in there and check to see if the team's going to work before you have to make that risk. And really quickly, I know you guys make fun of me all the time for my lack of modding effort, but yes, you should mod. Don't be like AP Gains, be like Darth Loquitur. Take mods seriously, it will help you. Let's move on. I'm quickly throwing this in here. This feels like a gimme to all of you guys. CLS, Han Solo, Chewbacca, the most universal 3-man. I originally thought CLS meant when I was watching some videos. I was like, CLS, what does that stand for? I was watching videos. I thought it stood for Chewbacca, Luke, and Solo. I literally thought the CLS team was named after the 3 characters in the CLS team. It's ridiculously embarrassing. This team is the epitome of punch up if you can get some Zetas on them. Maybe take Han Solo or Chewbacca up to a relic or up to a higher gear depending on what stage you are in the game. This team punches up. I still love them. They're unbelievably broken in Conquest. They're useful in every game mode pretty much. So I have CLS in. And now Darth Lurker is going to explain how to properly, emphasis on properly, undersize the Padme team to make sure that you're taking advantage of all the banners that you can get.
Yeah, the Padme is just such a universally flexible team. So with a couple other characters, you can put it on defense, you can use it on offense, and it's great for underdog. And Anakin is really the key to that team. Once he gets set off, or you know, even if he doesn't get the trigger, he does so much damage. It's crazy. So you bring up the Padme team. It does take quite a few Zetas to get it running well. But Anakin is the key. So if you can get Anakin juiced up, get him, you know, geared up the best, gear 12, or relic him if you're willing to commit to that, that team just is crazy. Anakin just kills whole teams in one hit. So against things like Geos, it's got a lot of staying power. You've got Ahsoka with the lens on her basic to get rid of taunts and things like that. And you can take out a lot of teams in the game just with this three-person combo. And because Padme has mechanics to give back life and protection and give bonus protection, you can, even against a team that does get some turns in, like AP said, you want to make sure the opposing team doesn't get turns if you can help it. But even if they do against the Padme team, you got a good chance of coming out of that with full banners, even undersized. That's a really great team. It does require some decent mods and some Zetas, but it's really worth it. And you can use that all the way through the end of the game. Padme stays good forever.
Absolutely. Now, as a lot of my viewers know, I don't want to say revolutionized how you unlock Padme, but you know what? I'll take it. I'll take the praise. Django soloing the Padme event. All of you guys should have Django because I recommend, you know, getting a good bounty hunter team kind of early so that you can get your CLS team kind of going on. But if you have that Gear 10, Gear 11 Jango, you can solo that 7-star Padme event. There's no excuse not to have at least Padme unlocked once you hit level 85. Go in there, get your Padme, start to experiment, realize how useful she is, how flexible she is. If you got her strong, put her on defense. Maybe you can trip your opponent up. If she's a little bit weaker, but your Anakin's doing pretty good, throw him in on offense, get that recovery like he was talking about. Get yourself some great banners. Fantastic team. Grab you some Padme if you don't have it. And to wrap off the list, and you might be thinking, well, this is only 9, not 10. Don't worry, we'll cover that. This is obviously geared towards mid-game players. We have the Triumvirate, Traya lead with Scion and Nihilus. Longtime viewers are going to know the answer to this question. What is the most important Zeta to AP? Maybe to everyone. I always say, especially because the meta used to be so stagnant like a couple months to a year ago, the Zeta you have when you unlock Traya is the most important Zeta because those bugs are very, very, very hard to kill at Division 11, Division 10, Division 9. You're not going to really have those teams, so as you get that Traya unlocked, once she's 5 stars, get that leadership. They're going to kill themselves. You no longer have to worry about relicking a Darth Vader or wasting a bunch of teams and just praying that you can beat that Zeta Geonosian Brute Alpha and that darn Relic Spy. Get you some Zetas on the trio. They're fantastic. If you, again, little disclaimer, do what I say, not as I do. Mod for some crit avoidance. Get them nice and beefy because you don't want Traya or Nihilus or Zion dying before they get a chance to take a turn. Get them modded well. Geo's a thing of the past, everyone. A thing of the past. All right, so that was 9, and I promised you 10. So our friend Darth Loquitur is going to come in with 10. What's 10? It's not a set of characters. What is it, my friend?
Fleet.
Fleet.
Fleet. Yeah, a lot of people, they play out the characters and they think about their underdogs. And then when they go into the fleet battles, there's 3 reinforcement slots or 4 reinforcement slots if you get a 7-star capital ship. And people just fill up the reinforcements. But fleet works the same way as characters. Every slot that you leave open that you don't put a ship into as a reinforcement counts as an underdog and counts as an extra banner at the end of the game. And if you've picked your counters fairly well, if you're up at the level that you're fighting negotiators, you might need 3 reinforcements against that, but you can still leave the 4th slot open. If you're fighting a fleet that the opponent just threw off, sometimes people will put a really tough defense in front of their fleet and just say, well, I'll put a garbage fleet here and hope they don't get to me, right? So if you go into that battle just with your main 3 and like the best 1 reinforcement that you might need, that counts as an underdog. It gets you 3 extra banners. So don't just throw ships in as reinforcements unless you need them. Mm-hmm. Underdog that too and get those banners. I'll say, you were talking about protection recovery. I love Plo's reinforcement as a ship. And you want to talk about banners in Grand Arena, even against a fleet where you think you're going to win with pretty high banners, you can put Plo in there as your 1 reinforcement. And when you get around to him, bring him in, put all your ships back at full life and full protection. He can get you 2 or 3 extra banners just coming in as a reinforcement. So there's some tips and tricks for undersizing your fleets.
Absolutely. Now, if you guys tuned into, at this point, I've kind of lost track. One of my Grand Arenas, I let you guys decide what teams I use against which teams, which often puts me in a scenario where I'm kind of have my back against the wall. I'm slacking on banners. I need big banner wins, but I love the memes. I went in with insurmountable odds into a fleet battle, but what did I find? My opponent saved everything for offense in anticipation of my negotiator. What did I do? Boom, Bosk, Houndstooth solo, 72 banners, 1x1 banner. Everyone thought I was amazing. It's not always going to be that epic, but sometimes you're going to not bring in 1 reinforcement, or not bring in 2, or not bring in 3, or not bring in any. And you're going to get 66, 67, 68, 69 banners. And that could be the difference. You could win by 2, you could win by 3, you could win by 1. Every little piece counts, especially when it's close. Make sure you're undersizing your fleets if at all possible. All right, man. Thank you so much for being on this video. I love to do these informative videos. Sometimes I do funny videos, but these informative videos I feel like really help the community. And I feel like both you and me gear more towards early to mid-game players, kind of teaching the fundamentals of the game, as well as some more in-depth, complicated strategy. So I thought no better person to have on for this video than you. So thank you so much for coming in. Where can people find you? I know you're obviously everywhere, like I said at the beginning of the video, but where's the best way to get in contact with you or see your videos?
Yeah, the place to start, of course, is the Darth Loquitur YouTube channel. You can see the holocrons over there. There's a link to the Discord. We've got a great community going on with the Discord. Great group of players, and there's a lot of folks that are also involved with your Discord that are over on mine, and they've been encouraging us to get together from my side as well. So, no, that's great. I think it's like you said, the early to mid game players who are saying, okay, I've figured out some things about the game, but I need some reassurance that I'm headed in the right direction. Like, is this really going to work? Is that information from 2 years ago? And, to have somebody come through and say, yeah, that still works, or yeah, it's a little different than it used to be. Or, like one of the things I said recently, Rebel fleets are great. And it seems like everybody's pumping up the Rebel fleets right now. But we were talking about it in a Discord over there, and man, that TIE bomber shuts down Rebel fleets.
Oh yeah.
So for new players to be able to see that kind of information and at least know what they're getting into, so they're not surprised, I think it's a valuable service that we're doing, you and I.
I have to agree, not only because I love complimenting myself, but I sincerely think that we're doing Cup's work over here. We're doing the Lord Cup's work by helping out newer players, because sometimes you can't find a guy to help you out, but we're here for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully we do some videos over on his channel at some point. Stay tuned. I love you guys, and I'll see you later.